up, YouTube? Welcome to my channel. My name is Shanna Karasi, and I'll be helping you create some key pieces for the summer in my VACAY STAYCAY DIY series. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how to create your own two-piece bathing suit. So when you're poolside or at the beach and your girls ask you, where did you get that from? You can say, I made it. Now let's get into it. Alright, so here is what you guys will need for fabrics. You'll need neoprene fabric. You'll need 4 colors of stretch mesh fabric, thread that matches the color of your neoprene fabric, as well as fabric scissors. You need 3 zippers for the front, back, and bottom. The front zipper will be 15 inches, the back zipper would be 14.5, and the bottom would be 27. Make sure that when you get these zippers, you can cut them to that specific size and put zipper stops on them. You'll also need elastic banding with the silicone gripper on one of the sides of that elastic banding, and I would suggest that you get 1.5 meters of this trim. It's not a bad idea to have more trim than you need. Alright guys, so we're going to start by connecting the turtleneck to the front bodice, and we're going to go ahead and connect the front left and right, the back left and right, and what I would suggest is just lining up your pieces to make sure that you are sewing the appropriate pieces together. When you're done, you should have 4 pieces that are finished just like this. Alright guys, so now we're attaching the mesh insert. So this is going to be on each piece of the front and back. And what you can do now is use that mesh insert piece and flip it onto the right side of your bodice piece, whether it's the front or back, it doesn't matter. You just make sure that it's flipped onto the top or the right side of your front bodice. Okay, so now we're attaching the rubber elastic trim to the bottom of that mesh insert. So what you're going to do is put that trim on top of the mesh insert, and you're going to do the same step we did to connect the mesh inserts to the bodice. So you're going to make sure that it's on top of the mesh, but the rubber side is going to be on the right side of the mesh. And then you can start sewing. And complete this step for all 4 pieces. And with the way that we've connected this trim to the bottom of that mesh piece, it allows for the bathing suit not to ride up, and it allows it to stay in place on the skin. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and attach the zippers to the bodice. So with these steps, there's always repetition, so you're repeating the same steps for a lot of the pieces. And what I'm doing here is attaching the front zipper to the front right and left bodice, and you're going to complete the same steps to the back. Before you start sewing your zippers, make sure that that mesh piece and the trim is folded over the end of your zipper, exactly like I have it here, and I'm sewing in. It's very important that you do that. And as you can see, that trim, the rubber on that trim is facing down. So make sure that you're sewing it down over that zipper as well, exactly as I'm doing it here. And just an FYI, you won't be able to sew the zipper onto the front bodice with your zipper sewn or zipper zipped all the way up. You're gonna have to zip your zipper down in order to sew the zipper to the front bodice. And this is what your front and back bodice should look like once it's all completed. So in this step, what I'm doing is I'm turning down the turtleneck that's on the side of the zipper, down on the zipper, so that I get a clean finish. Okay, so this is also creating the seam allowance for the turtleneck, so I can top stitch when I'm finished. And I'll get right in there so I can show you exactly what I did. So see, I'm folding that. Yeah, I just had to snip that off, but I'm folding that excess on top of the zipper. So I'm just showing you a comparison here. So on the left you have the finish piece, and then on the right you have the piece that I'm about to finish. Okay, so once you've attached the zippers and tacked down all of those turtleneck top pieces to the zipper, we're gonna go ahead and sew the side seams and the neck together. Alright, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna top stitch right along the zipper, and we're gonna make this a complete step. So we're gonna start along the end of the zipper, and then we're gonna end up at the neck and go right around to the other half of the back zipper. And make sure that your front is totally opened up, so the front zipper. It just makes it really easy to work with, and you can use your zipper tooth, or the zipper teeth rather, as a guide. You don't even need to remove the piece from underneath the needle. Just sew it all the way around in one complete step. Unless your thread breaks, like mine did multiple times during this tutorial, but that's besides the point. Just continue the step. And once I've completed that side with one step, I'm gonna complete the other side, and I'm starting at the back at this point. So I'm gonna do the same thing I did for the first step and just complete this top stitch in one single step. Alright, finally, so what we're doing now is sewing up the side seams of the top. So I'm going to start by sewing from the underarm down the side seam, and just make sure that the rubber side of the trim is facing up when you sew it together. Now for the last step of creating the top half of this two-piece. So what I'm doing is I'm serging around the armhole. If you don't have a serger, you'll have to do a double turn hem and make it a 1/4 inch. Alright, so we finished the top half. Now we are starting with the bottom half. So what I'm doing here is organizing all of the pattern pieces, especially the ones that I'm working on with first. So I'm putting all of the mesh insert pieces together according to how I will sew them together. This is very essential so you don't confuse yourself when you start to sew. So just follow along and do exactly what it is I'm doing in this first step. So first I'm starting off by serging the top mesh insert. So this is the first piece of the mesh insert. If you don't have a serger, don't do this first step. Carry on and complete the second step by sewing the first mesh insert to the second one. And what I'm doing here is I've flipped it so that the top of the second mesh insert is being attached to the bottom of the first mesh insert. Okay, and just be very careful of how you sew these pieces together because it can get confusing. And when you're done, the piece should appear like this. Alright, so in this step, I'm working with the right back bottom. And the mesh piece should match whatever side you're working with, whatever piece you are working with. So just keep that in mind. Alright, and once you've completed that step of attaching the bottom to the mesh insert, just make sure you're not being confused. Sewing is like putting together a jigsaw puzzle, but you need a little bit more technique. Alright, so just be aware of the pieces that you're putting together so that you're not sewing the wrong pieces together. So once you've completed this step for all 4 pieces, I want you to get together your front left and back left pieces together or your back right and front right piece together. It doesn't matter which two, but you'll have to start with the same sides of the front and back pieces. Make sure the right sides are facing each other once you start sewing your front and back side together. And repeat the step on the other side. So once you have all your pieces done, your bottom should look like this. So now we're going to add the elastic trim to the top of the waistband, or the mesh insert, I should say. So like we did in the first half of the tutorial for the top, we're going to do the same thing with this. So you're going to lay the rubber side of the trim on the right side of the bikini bottom. So your pieces should appear just like this. And you're going to attach this trim to all four sides of your mesh waistband. Alright, so we are in one of the last two steps of the sewing process, and now we're attaching the zipper to one of the sides of the bikini bottom. So in this step here, it looks like I'm folding down the zipper, the top of the zipper tape. You can opt to fold it down or cut it off, but we're basically gonna do the same step that we did to the bottom of the mesh top. So we're gonna fold the trim over the zipper. And an FYI, I didn't show it, but make sure you top stitch beside the zipper, okay? Make sure you top stitch beside the zipper on both sides. And then you can go ahead and serge the outer side, the outer leg side, I guess, of the bikini bottom. Or you can do a double turn hem at 1/4 inch if you don't have a serger. Okay, so in this step, what I'm doing is I'm serging the top and bottom of the panty liner. If you don't have a serger, you can leave the edges raw, it's fine. So now we're going to sew the panty liner to the high waist bikini bottom. And like we did for the side seams of our top, we're gonna do to our side seams of our high-waisted bottom. So when we're sewing the side seams together, make sure the elastics are facing with the rubber side up. Alright guys, so this is what your bikini, two-piece bikini should be looking like once you've completed it. This is the back half, which looks exactly the same as the front. So there's not really much of a difference, but check out the next clip to see how I put it together with a fire look.
Yeah. On the west side, feeling like a great. And I'm looking up to God like what a day. Thank you, God. I don't ever gotta worry about the hate. No. If it's ever any issue, then I skate. Vámonos cuando el DJ le da play. Dale play. Cada vez que ella me llama dice hey, ¿cómo estás? ¿Dónde voy? Yo camino como rey. Agua viva, aquí no existe la ley. No. Sweet just like Tampico. She from Puerto Rico. We gon' take it slow like Despacito. Suave like I'm Rico. She said ay bendito. How you keep it real? Still connecting with the people. That's Jesus. I'm on 10 with all the crew. Talked to God and he said, boy, you ain't never hitting snooze. No, that's Jesus. Heard the tribe is on the move, and my life is like a carnival, dog. This that Celia Cruz.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on my social media.